Hello, and welcome to Recent Activity, your new favorite entertainment review podcast that attempts to cover every film, every show, all at once. I am your co-host, Andrew Morgan. With me, as always, a man whose dating profile refers to himself only as the entity, Mr. Shane Beauregard. How are you, sir?
I am doing okay, buddy. I am super excited. In fact, don't make me stand up during this podcast.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't reveal your cruciform key, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want to see anything. No spoilers, as it were. But good to see you, man. I know this is a big one for you. We're back to the Shane business. We're going to do the meat of the episode. We're going to, ring the bell, closing remarks on the Mission Impossible franchise with The Last Reckoning, which just came out over this past Memorial Day weekend. Very long weekend for Shane and I, so that's why this is coming out a tinge late, because, we're busy folks. But we did catch everything. We're going to cover this. Shane covered Fight or Flight. He was that one guy who watched it, so we'll cover that at the end. And I'm also going to pick Shane's brain on the latest Fear Street movie that came out on Netflix. My review is up on what's on Netflix.com as per usual, but I want to know what did Shane think, so we will catch that on the end of this episode. But Shane, it's Tom Cruise time.
Thank God.
I want you to get up, dance on your couch, hug an Oprah, do anything that you got to do, because this is, we'll get into all the burning questions. But basically, with Top Gun Maverick seemingly looking like a possible, end of a franchise, now we have this, which is literally spelling out end of a franchise. Whether those things hold up in the age of franchises that go on too long is a whole other thing. We thought John Wick 4 was the end of John Wick. We're stupid.
Shame on us.
Yeah. So, you never know, right? But it does look like the Cruise big action tentpole franchise thing is coming to a close. We just got the Final Reckoning. From Final Destination to Final Reckoning. Isn't that great? A nice little button up, right? Except the other one just won't die either. So apparently they're I think, is death the entity? That should be a burning question. All right, can we combine these franchises somehow? But let's get into it, man, because this is a movie that it had a lot of issues possibly coming in, right? It's like, they changed it from Dead Reckoning Part 2 to The Final Reckoning. Oh, is that a marketing play? Is it because the last one, didn't do as well at the box office against their budget that they hoped? And all this concern trolling of this better be the last one because it's probably not going to make as much money again. And then we'll all just be crying about that anyway. But Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. And Mission Impossible is Mission Impossible. And it seems that at least the box office wise, this movie kind of rebounded the franchise. Whether that's because this is the quote unquote last one or selling it as the last one or not, this one seemed to be an uptick. It made $204 million in the 4-day total, 77 domestic, 127 international. And if you remember, Shane, I did kind of go back and do a little digging. It's helpful to listen to ourselves. Go back and listen to. We did an excellent episode on Dead Reckoning. So if you want to get our thoughts on that too, go back and look. Everybody should do that. I did, just to be like, what was the money and what was the feeling at the time between us with all those? And I think they said that this was either the highest or higher than Fallout, and definitely beat the last one by a mile in terms of money. Because the last one, they kind of did that, they stretched it to 5 days. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where it was like a Wednesday special and then Thursday early previews and then a 3-day weekend. It's like, okay, what is this? And even with all that, I think the 4-day Memorial did more than the 5-day spread out by 20 million domestically and then a certain amount more internationally, because they also got a head start on that this time, where I guess it's been playing, because it kind of premiered at Cannes and then played out after there and everything else. So it's been a big deal for this. Tom Cruise is everywhere. He's eating all the popcorn in the world. He's running. He's sitting on tall buildings. He's doing all of them. Like, he's doing some interviews. It's a big deal for him. But is this a big deal to the world at large? Like I said, seems to be good at the box office. The reviews are good. I don't want to say like overwhelmingly. There are some detractors, of course, and we'll get to some of those in our own probably. But 7.5 IMDb, 67 Metascore, 80% Rotten Tomato with an 89% audience score, 3.6 Letterboxd. I mean, again, solid, but not like over the top, and definitely not reaching like Fallout numbers, or even might be in some of the rankings a little under Dead Reckoning Part 1. So where does that leave us with Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise, and this massive cast that has now added on top of the usuals: Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell, Esai Morales, all that stuff. We now add Hannah Waddingham, Nick Offerman, my boy Trammell Tillman, who I think was possibly the best. Well, he was definitely the best addition. And we could say, obviously, you can't beat Tom Cruise in a Tom Cruise movie. But like, as far as like the best supporter of this movie, might be him. But we'll get to it. Also, obviously, Angela Bassett's back and everything else. So this one, if you're not familiar, I don't know, you're dead. Like, we're gonna have spoilers.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, is this 8 or 9? I always forget.
This is 8.
Yeah. So Ethan Hunt, IMF team, the guys. They're continuing their search for the terrifying AI known as the Entity, which has infiltrated intelligence networks all over the globe, with the world's governments and a mysterious ghost from Ethan's past on their trail. Joined by new allies and armed with the means to shut the Entity down for good, Hunt is back in the race against time to prevent the world as we know it from changing forever. Shane.
Yes, sir.
I think, were more supportive of Dead Reckoning, even though I think a lot of people watched that movie, and even we had some complaints about an AI and all the throat clearing in the beginning and all those things, like that. It had its issues and it was not as good as Fallout. So where does that leave us? And then now we have to go and carry over that to the final reckoning. So what were your thoughts going in? We covered it somewhat. Was this the most anticipated one, or was it Superman? I know it was one of the two for us. I think this might have been
I want to say this was it. This was number 1 on our lists.
Yeah. So we've obviously discussed it on this podcast a little bit, but coming right up against it, I don't know if you saw any the early reviews coming out of Cannes and all those things with it. But
I did not.
Yeah. So it's a mixed bag out there, especially early on, and then I think the scores have gotten better over time. So where are you sitting with it? Like, did you rewatch? We talked about rewatching. Did you do any of that?
I did rewatch Dead Reckoning. Not too long ago, I should say. So I kind of have it fresh in my mind. So I was going into this just ready to go. Obviously,
right.
This movie was a lot to digest. I mean, as you noted, it's 2 hour and 49 minute runtime, right? Oh man, okay. I love my guy. But I think, honestly, before we get specific details of what was going on in the movie, my overall thought when I left the theater was that was good. I like the way they wrapped it up. But I do feel like they leaned heavy, like they always do, on the stunts, and the story kind of suffered along. It was a little clunky to start with. I didn't really care much for all the flashback stuff at the beginning. I thought they could have utilized more of the supporting cast more, i.e. Haley Atwell.
Or had less of them.
Yeah, right. Or yes, they had too many. I think they introduced too many, high profile actors and actresses that some in some cases didn't get any kind of shine whatsoever. I thought Hannah Waddingham was underutilized. Nick Offerman, same thing. What was he in
Yeah.
2 scenes? I do agree with Trammell Tillman. I thought he was the best addition, and I loved his interactions with Tom Cruise. Like the whole underwater stuff when he gets the aircraft carrier, that stuff was great. Of course, the whole aerial stuff with S.M. Morales at the end was fantastic. But I just felt the story in itself kind of lacked that emotional punch, especially with the Ving Rhames character. I guess I was expecting a little more emotion because he's been in the series since 1996, and this is his last one. I just felt it kind of like fell flat, and maybe I was expecting a little more like with the Simon Pegg. I thought maybe I expected more collateral damage, I guess is what I'm saying in this.
Yeah, sure.
So I just felt like overall good, entertaining movie. I felt it didn't need a 2 hour and 49 minute runtime, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
The story kind of got convoluted, but again, you go to see 62-year-old Tom Cruise hang on the side of a goddamn airplane and
Yeah.
do all kinds of just crazy stuff. Entertaining, but off the bat, I actually preferred Dead Reckoning. And true to Andrew Form, I actually, and we'll discuss this at the end, but I actually made a ranking of my Mission Impossible movies. Yeah. So I'm pulling an Andrew out of my hat. So at the end, I will give you my ranking. But overall, I just felt, again, some of the cast wasn't utilized enough. I thought they spread it thin with too many characters in here. At times, I felt like I was back in Mission Impossible 2, where it was just his solo mission without any support, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just felt like they could have tied that in a little bit more, and I wanted more of an emotional punch, which they didn't give us. And, like, here's a question, like, do we know last movie that Shea Wiggum was fucking John Voight's son or something like that?
No.
Did I miss that?
No.
Like,
no. Not to my knowledge. And I said, I rewatched some of it. And
yeah, they just threw that in there at the end of the movie. I'm like, okay, all right. So, yes, clunky, story-wise not great, but overall, enjoyed the final send-off. So those are my initial thoughts, and then I'll bounce off of whatever you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with basically everything you had to say. This was so exposition heavy, so nostalgic for itself, which again, like, it's the last one. So I get it. And I knew to an extent, like, name another franchise that knew it was ending and kind of had its send off. They all had their problems. I would actually almost more pointedly maybe ask you, or if you want to think about it while I'm going through the rest of this, but like, No Time to Die is the end of the Craig era, and we thought John Wick 4. Like, where does this sit, and what do you think the other ones, like the good ones, can learn from the bad ones, all those type of things? Because I had a lot of that in mind. But I agree, this movie is bloated and confusing at times, very MacGuffin-centric, especially because you're dealing with an AI, so everything is like something in a hard drive, something in a fancy glowing orb, something in a poison pill that hangs around a person's neck or whatever. It's like it's always something, and it seemed to be constantly changing. And so in the first 20 30 minutes before we got to the credits, it was like a clip show like nobody's ever seen. Like, for people who never saw a Mission Impossible movie and you wandered in to the final reckoning and you're here, come on, get out of here. Get out of that with all that back and forth. I didn't need it, And again, we talked about this last week. All the Mission Impossible movies are literally on like every service. They're on Prime. They're on Paramount. They're everywhere. Just go. Why? How many people do we know probably did either a full rewatch, a somewhat rewatch? We're all here. Get on with it. And so I felt a little get on with it in the beginning of this movie. But ultimately, I just kind of boiled it down to how much do people care about that stuff and how blown away by the stunts will people be, and the meter of which way those go, positive, negative, will be where people kind of land on this movie. But I think this is a step down from the last two movies, and it does enough. But I agree with you. The Ving Rhames seemed to be like convenient, like, let's get this out of the way and then we'll move on. Like, it didn't feel like an impact. I didn't feel emotional impact from basically anything.
Nope.
But was I impressed with a bunch of stuff, including the submarine stuff was my favorite overall. Not just because of Trammell Tillman, who I really liked, because he seemed to be the only person who was like having fun. Like this movie is kind of like, it's heavy. It's not as winky and like cool. So that was probably the best. And to see Tom Cruise like basically, hey, I'm drowning and I need to get through this torpedo tube was like the fucking coolest shit. Let's be honest. I like the submarine stuff better than the airplane stuff.
I do too.
And because I think the hardest thing for this movie, and we talked about it so much with Dead Reckoning, is the AI is such a hard villain. And Gabriel, I felt like even took a bigger step back in this.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I never felt like this presence. You know what I mean? It was always about like the plan. Then the plan would change, the plan to change, plan. Execute something and fucking get this done. So it's like, and especially if you're 2 hours and 40 something minutes of a runtime, it does seem to spin its wheels or keep kind of going sideways for so long before it actually gets to what it goes. But once I felt like the first note I wrote was the cross cut from the cabin and the knife attack on the sub when they were doing that back and forth. I was like, that's when the movie kicked in. That's when the movie was like, yes, fucking Mission Impossible. Let's do this. Let's land the plane, literally and figuratively, and let's get out of here. And that's when everything started to click. That's when the sub stuff got better. That's like the cabin stuff I thought was great with the analyst, the guy from part 1. That I thought was an excellent addition. Excellent. I would probably put him neck and neck with Trammell Tillman for like best addition, quote unquote, of the movie, right? And then the combat with Gabriel is what a lot of people will probably point to with this. But like I said, I think it was either it didn't seem as dangerous, which sounds ridiculous, I understand, but like, and there wasn't this like drive to get disarmed. It just felt very put on. So that's why to me I felt way more into the submarine stuff and some of the other maybe a little side mission stuff more than some of maybe even the big stunt of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought the whole Gabriel in this movie was anticlimactic. Like, I didn't care at that point.
Yeah.
Because, again, I felt like he took such a step back from his presence in the first movie because he kind of overshadowed everything in the first movie. In this one, he just got peeled back, and it was so anticlimactic. But you're right. You point to where the movie picks up, but how long did it take to get there?
Right.
Like you mentioned, it's funny you mentioned the opening scene because we're sitting there watching this thing, and it's like, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes in, and they cut to the title card. I'm like, shit, like that was a long opening sequence.
Yeah.
Like we're getting the title card like a half hour into the movie. Yeah. I totally forgot it was even coming.
And it was just one long-winded speech with clips. That's why I was saying it's like previously on Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Right. So, man, but like you said, you walk into this movie, and as long as they execute the action and the stunts well, I think that's what you'll come out and remember. And, you know, they did deliver on that. But again, I, like you, was more to the sub stuff than I was the airplane stuff as cool as that was.
Yeah.
I was just way more into the sub stuff. I thought that's where, like, all right, man, like, let's go. So,
yeah,
you know, getting to like the end of the movie, like the question you like, can this continue? Was that like part of the question, or should this continue?
I mean, I probably put out a billion of them, but sure. Like, I also had that thought of like, is this better than No Time to Die or John Wick? Like all these like action franchise stuff that recently ended and knew they were going to end. Like as opposed to like say Die Hard, which seemed to never die. You know, like that just kept going.
I will say John Wick is even. You know, who knows? But I thought John Wick pulled it off the best. I thought, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought this did a little better than No Time to Die.
See, I disagree there, I think. And that's where I'm struggling.
Okay. I kind of like the way this went out rather than that one. But, you know, the question remains like, can he pass this along to somebody else and can it survive? Sure. I think if they cast the right actor. But they're going to have to pivot, obviously, because you're not going to get the stunt work and or some of the action stuff, maybe, from stepping away from Tom Cruise. But I do feel the way they left it, yeah, sure, give it some time. And I think they, like Daniel Craig with Bond, I think there could be another agent that takes over. And I'd be fine with it, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah. I mean, can it have, like, will it have its moments to where they'll have their George Lazenby, like period before they get back on the horse to being something more prominent, I guess, again. But I just don't, it would have to wait a while. And I think we talked about this before. Can't you more see in this modern landscape that they'll just do a TV series like John Wick did the Continental just to keep it fresh and keep it going and then figure out the world after?
Yeah, because I think I read recently where I think Tom Cruise like endorsed Glenn Powell maybe to step into this franchise, and that's not a half crazy idea, to be honest with you.
I've heard some wild shit with Tom Cruise lately. Like the only thing that's like I think in cement is that he's doing that Inarritu movie.
Yes.
Where I think that might have even filmed. I'm not even sure where that might come out next year. There was even a thought that, like, is this going to come out by the end of the year? But I think it's now 2026. And it's like, I've heard Top Gun 3 is on the table, which I was like, bro, you don't fucking Val Kilmer kill the Iceman, do that whole thing, and then tell me we're coming right at it again. Stop. Like, I guess you think you could do that if it's a pass play, like you said. If it is, here's Glenn Powell, or here's whoever, or a combination of characters, like basically taking the B the next tier down guys in Top Gun Maverick and now elevate them a little bit more and possibly kill off Tom Cruise. But I doubt it. They'll never. He'd never sign up for one of his characters to die. There's zero chance. So
I heard Days of Thunder again.
Well, Jesus, isn't that what F1 is?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Aren't we just doing Formula One Days of Thunder? So I don't know. I think that's silly. Did you see the silliest one? My favorite is that what is it? Len Grossman. It's something. Yeah. The character from Tropic Thunder, that literally him and McQuarrie had like deep, silly conversations about them doing a solo, Grossman movie. As
much as he is hilarious in that movie, I don't need to see a 90-minute movie about that character. No.
Just because he's now closer in age doesn't mean that this makes any more sense. That is not smart. So. Yeah, what happens next with Tom? I'm actually looking forward to, like, if Tom Cruise kind of went back to being 90s Tom Cruise a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, basically pre-Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Like The Firm.
The Firm, yeah. A Few Good Men, stuff like that. Yeah. Let's go. Let's boot it up.
Or even, Cocktail and Risky Business. I don't care. Like, he doesn't have that persona, but wouldn't it be cool to kind of, maybe a more mature version? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, where's my cocktail too? I'll take that. We'll just bring all the 80s franchises back.
Elizabeth Shue's still looking good, so absolutely, they would make a good couple still.
Yeah, and she's not in The Boys anymore, right? Like, wasn't that her thing? Right?
That was her thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
did you want to hear my Mission Impossible rankings?
Sure. Did you want to give the score first, or did you want to put it kind of in the rankings with it?
I'll put it in the rankings.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you want me to start from? I'll start from 1. Okay.
Yeah. Which I if it's not the consensus pick, I will be shocked.
Okay. Well, here's my list. This is Shane's list. So this is all that matters, right? Yep. So my number 1 Mission Impossible movie is Mission Impossible 5: Rogue Nation.
What?
Number 2 is MI6 Fallout.
Wow.
Number 3 is MI4 Ghost Protocol. Number 4 is the original OG Mission Impossible 1.
Yeah.
5 is Dead Reckoning. 6 is Mission Impossible 3. 7 is Final Reckoning. And then lastly, and I think this is last on everybody's list, is MI2. So I ended up giving, yes, I know, right? I ended up giving Final Reckoning a 3 out of 5. I couldn't I could not, because of the story and the lack of emotional punch. I couldn't get it to that 3.54 stratosphere. Maybe 3.25 if I had to use your cheat code.
I know, right? I think 3.5 is fair because it's always a tall order to end things, and the stunts still didn't disappoint.
Right.
So that's where I landed with that. But I am saying that while absolutely acknowledging, and I led with all the bad. Like you can't hide from it.
Right.
Much like The Entity. But, I think 3.5, like I said, I think it's 3.6 on Letterboxd right now. I think it's a tinge high, but not by much, yes, if I could cheat code, maybe a 3.25 makes sense. But I sit here going like, all right, well, what else have we given? You look at the totality of the year and all this stuff. And I think, man, this franchise just doesn't dip. And I think that was the shock of this, right? Because Fallout is like a 5-star burner to me. I think the first movie and Dead Reckoning and Rogue Nation are all like very, very, very good. Like probably 4.5 territory for all of them. And then you start dipping a little bit, but not by much.
Right.
And then 2 is on the bottom for me too. But they just don't miss very often. For having this many movies, this is not Fast and the Furious. They don't ever fully disappoint. They had one speed bump, and I think that makes a lot of sense given that they didn't, when they had the Macquarie ones, you just can't complain.
No.
They just got the assignment.
Right. Even though we didn't enjoy this one as much as the other ones, like you said, the fall is not that far. Unlike, let's bring up Bond, because my biggest complaint with Bond is you get one really good Daniel Craig movie and then one so-so, one really good one. It was every other one was oh man, that's awesome. And then it was Quantum Solace, get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a little more consistent than the Bond, especially with the Craig. If we just want to point out the Daniel Craig Bond, I definitely think it's more consistent than those movies.
Right.
And don't even bring up Fast. I know you had to, but whatever.
Yeah.
No. There's no big misfires outside of part 2.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because again, I think that's what it just had to search for that proper director post De Palma.
Right.
And it took a while. They went through, it was what? Wu, Bird, and
J.J. Abrams.
So it's that's, they're good options, but again, it takes a right kind of fit, and especially when we're talking Tom Cruise here, and it figured out what it really was. The first movie is so different and moves at a much different pace, and then once Macquarie and Cruise kind of figured out this is what we do, and then just ran with it. I think it is a massive franchise based on those, because I think if we kept getting a new director every single time and it wasn't a follow through storyline or any of these kind of things, consistency of characters, etc., I think we'd be talking about this franchise very differently. Right.
Yeah, totally agree.
So I think the fact that they had the core was so strong, with Ving Rhames being there from the beginning, adding, your Simon Peggs along the way, and then always that kind of rotating female in his life, whether it's, Monahan, Ferguson, or now Atwell. It's they always mean something to him, and they're all good. But I think that's why the last 2 movies were so good. It's because you mixed in, you basically had so many of them still on the bench that hadn't left the franchise yet, and then added people like a Vanessa Kirby, or Solomon Lane was my favorite villain because he had that voice and that gravitas, and just he didn't give a fuck. I think that's what made, to me, what is that, Rogue Nation into Fallout? That's so good.
Yeah, those are the apex and the peak of this series.
Yeah, and they always had such a great cast. And it's always been impressive. They went in their little clip show in the beginning. I was yeah, no, I love all those, or oh yeah, the Kremlin bombing, and oh, that's great. It's you're just going through it. It's yeah, cool, but I did this. So
yep.
Like I said, I knew the AI was going to be a problem, and to make it into 2 movies was a real stretch, but I had faith that they were going to put something more human with it, or at least Gabriel would have stepped up. I think the Gabriel thing is really a big part of what sunk this movie, because he was kind of the extension of the entity. And then it seemed like he almost kind of had his own plan, but he didn't have any personality.
Nope.
So it didn't work. It just didn't work. Like, there wasn't that drive, that face, that real, presence that needed to be there to feel like they're chasing something or being chased by something. I didn't feel that at all. Even when they had like those just random like supporters of the entity, that was very stupid and very weird.
Right.
That was kind of an extra thing that just didn't work. So yeah, I realize that I'm kind of giving a half-hearted 3.5, but it's, you can't deny when it's killer.
Works.
When it's killer, it's working.
Right.
Yeah. But let me ask you, and I hate that this is kind of how it petered out, but much love to our boy,
that's right.
Tom Cruise. Looking forward to the next venture on that one. But while I have you, there are other action movies out there, I guess, but maybe for an upcoming home video, because as I told you, Fight or Flight, starring Josh Hartnett, was something that you had seen in the theaters and is no longer in theaters. Got completely bullied out by the likes of Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch, and Final Destination before that. So how was it, sir? Can you recommend people seeking this out when it hits home video?
I will say, surprisingly, yes. I had middling expectations for this movie. And the perfect, and everyone says it looks like Bullet Train on a plane. Yeah,
yes.
Sure, it was, right? But it was fun. It was tongue-in-cheek. I thought the action was very Kill Bill-esque at the end, with the whole when the bride takes on the 88.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good time. So for those who don't know, Hartnett plays like a blackballed assassin who gets roped into finding this ghost on a plane because she has information, and all of a sudden all these different assassins are chasing her down and now chasing him down. Also has Katie Sackhoff, who plays Hartnett's handler, ex-girlfriend, and she was great. But I'll tell you, much as like we talked about Tom Hardy with Havoc, right, in the sense that he'd never really done straight action. Yeah. Josh Hartnett's never really done straight action before.
No, he's been in quote action movies. Yeah.
Right. He's been horror action movies, but he's never been like the guy.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I got done this movie. I'm like, why hasn't he done this more? Like,
he has the body and like the frame for it. He could do it.
I thought the movie knew what it was. It was tongue in cheek. I thought it was funny. The action scenes totally worked. And you got to take this movie for what it is. It's a bunch of assassins on a plane trying to kill Josh Hartnett. And I thought his backstory was good enough. So they actually gave him some character, and he was on his redemption arc because he was an assassin, like had a moral compass. That's why he got blackballed to begin with.
Right.
So I had a fucking great time at this movie, man. It's not as good as, but it reminded me of like A Boy Kills World, in the sense that I didn't expect anything from that movie. I didn't know what it was. Here I had a sense of what it was, but I wasn't expecting much. And it blew me away with like, that was fun, entertainment, martial arts, crazy, crazy scenes. And Josh Hartnett, like I said, now I want to see him more in this bag. Like, I want to see him do this. And unfortunately, because it made shit at the box office, we probably won't see him in this kind of role again. Yeah. So when it comes to your streamer, whatever it is, Netflix, watch this movie because it is a lot of fun. And honestly, I ended up giving it like a 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
Again, it's funny how we rate based on expectations, right?
I know. Because, we talked about this with Final Destination. Like, why are the scores better than Mission Impossible? And it's like, you can't compare the two, but it's all about where it stands versus expectations going in.
Right. So I highly recommend this movie for those who are in this genre. It will not let you down. It was fun.
And so coming up next, though, in the battle of the franchise action stars, I guess you could say, it's clearly the BC team of this whole summer. Ballerina in the John Wick universe with mostly not John Wick, or Nobody 2, which I thought the trailer seemed very interesting, at least like I had more fun with it. It looked dumb, but like in a good, fun, dumb way. Like this is where we are with this franchise that they're trying to cram down our throats because the first one did pretty well. Right. And again, talk about a reluctant or weird action star. Bob Odenkirk doesn't look the part, but it worked. And that worked very well in that first movie. So who do you got in those two? Because I'm putting aside like Karate Kid because that's a different type of action stuff. That's very different. It's more drama. This is straight action. I think these are the only two that's really kind of the big rest of the summer. Right.
I am still leaning towards Ballerina.
Same.
Yeah, slightly towards Ballerina, just because our infinite love for Ana de Armas. And I'm curious to see what she does in this role. And the fact that it is in a John Wick world. Like, I want to see, we both said, I want to see more of this world. I want different aspects explored and different, subsects of his world explored. So, because it's set in the John Wick world and with Ana de Armas, like, leading the movie, I am still more apt to put that before Nobody 2.
Right.
That's just my gut.
Yeah, and especially in a movie that, you heard a lot about like reshoots and stuff, which can go wrong or like maybe are a sign of like, oh, maybe they didn't know what they were doing at first. Like, but the fact that a lot of those reshoots were to put back in more John Wick.
Right.
That is an interesting part here where it's like, oh, is that because they really felt they needed it because the rest of it sucks? Or is this, oh, no, let's beef it up. We know what we have here. And we're going to have a summer blockbuster here. Let's just up it a little bit because it is confusing to sell. It is like,
yes,
oh, this happens to fall, but not right now in that universe. It's what, 5-10 years ago in that universe, and it's before 3, and all this stuff. It's like, okay, fine, sure. So it can be a lot to sell, and they can't do this again because if they keep using the Continental, try explaining why Riddick's gone.
Right.
So and then obviously now going forward, you can't play with this too much with what is Wick's status. So it's tough. So my hope is that their stunt team is so damn good at this that I don't want to say they can plug anybody in, but if I take the 5-10 minutes that she explodes off the screen in No Time to Die and then play switcheroo and put it into John Wick with better stunt coordinators, here we go.
Yep. That's what I'm banking on, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I just can't help myself, right? So next week, obviously, is going to be a nice, fun switch stance for us. We're going to do, Friendship because you've already seen it. I'm going to see it this week. I'm very interested in that. Bring Her Back comes out this week. I think you said you're going to at least attempt to go see the Karate Kid Legends movie. Well, I'll see if I end up landing on that. We will also, for anybody, because we've been kind of following it, we did the premiere episode and everything else. We will cover Last of Us. Once Shane catches up on that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because hey, Memorial Day weekend packed full of stuff. I was surprised they didn't push it a week, the finale, quite frankly.
Right.
Because I was oh shit, right, it's Sunday. I did one of those. So I didn't even watch it live. Like I was like, oh right, it's like 11:30 at night. I'm like, oh, I'll watch it. So I did that. One bloodshot eye going, is this good? So that was interesting. So we'll cover that next week. But before we get out of here, my recent review for what's on Netflix.com is Fear Street Prom Queen for Netflix. And this was a franchise that I had a lot of fun with. When I had my Netflix podcast, I covered the 3 straight movies. I loved kind of that repeat viewing, the like trying to put the pieces together, trying to almost solve this puzzle, the whole Sarah Fear witch thing, and doing multiple genres, multiple decades. It was a lot of fun. I enjoy, and those movies are good. If you haven't seen them, I actually thought 94, the first one, is actually the worst of the 3. It got better as it went along, which is also very helpful. And they also tickled the certain decades that I liked probably the most of like horror. in a sense,
Yep.
even though I watch a ton of 80s horror. But this one, I was concerned because I didn't know how much they were bringing in any of the lore from the previous stuff. I didn't know if this was just going to be purely standalone and exactly what tone or how they were going to go about it. I even watched Prom Night again, the 1980 Jamie Lee Curtis movie, just to kind of be like, is there any kind of correlation with how they're going to do it? Because this is set in 88.
Yep.
So a little later, but still, there's not many movies that are set at the prom that's a horror movie. So figured I'd try to do it. What did you think? Because I gave this a 3 out of 5 on the site, but I feel it's a 2.5 at best. And in my mind, like, again, it's kind of some of the explanations of how we've talked about Final Destination or these other ones where it's like the kills were kind of cool at times and I hadn't a good enough time and the cast is okay. Like, if you came here for all the other connecting pieces and all that stuff, no. Like, it's just not there, so you have to enjoy it for what it is. But I thought this had one of the worst endings I've ever seen in a horror, or I've seen in a horror movie in recent memory. And I think that's what really, really sunk this movie.
Agree. Take this as a standalone movie, like you said.
Yeah, I have no choice.
What I love about the Fear Street series, like you said, when it hones in on a decade, it really like embodies that decade that it's in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever year it's set in.
Soundtrack,
so I love
the Babysitter's Club aesthetic.
Yep, I love all that. So I was digging everything from 1988. I even liked the lead actress who played Laurie Granger. I
did too.
I liked some of the characters, and I liked the kills. Like, some of the kills were great. The whole paper thing where he cut both the guy's hands off, I thought was pretty cool.
I always thought those things are dangerous.
Yes, and this movie, they are dangerous. So I liked a lot of those aspects. I like a relationship with their best friend. But as far as the whole Wolfpack scenario went with the Mean Girls clique and all that stuff, it was kind of getting old, but
yeah,
I agree. Where this movie just absolutely fell apart was that third act, right? Yeah. Just totally. And you're right. Like, the end of the movie, I'm like, the dialogue was so bad. It was cringy.
Yes.
And it just was bad. And I'm sorry. I know, like, this is one of those kind of knows what it's going for in a movie. I saw Chris Klein's acting was just exemplary, just on how not that, like, it was so bad. Like, he was so cringy in this movie. Like, I know he's trying to ham it up and be extra cheesy, but Jesus Christ, get someone that knows how to act. And like, I'm like, it was just, his character was awful.
I barely remembered he was the teacher in that first teacher scene.
Exactly.
And then it went into like, he's the father, and then
he's the father, and then I know how bad you want. I'm like, oh my God, like, it was so bad. Like, the whole dynamic was bad, and it just ruined what could have been a better movie. So ultimately, is it worth a watch? Sure. If you're a fan of the Fear Street series, yeah, fine. Go ahead and watch it. But it's not anywhere near the first three.
No, God, no. Completely underbaked.
Yes. I ended up giving it a 2.5 just because it's one of those meh movies.
Yeah.
But exactly. With the original 3, I kind of like the second one, the first one, and then the last one. Though that was my order of the Fear Street series. So
yeah, I go 2, 3, 1. But again, like, they're just not bad. They're all good.
No,
they're all very watchable, and they can, even though they don't always, like, kind of, the first 2 especially, I think all stand alone. Like, they can stand alone and still be good movies too.
Yep.
Which, that was the one thing I think that's positive out of all of this, right? I saw on Netflix that in the top 10 or like the stuff a lot of people are watching, all the Fear Street stuff, old ones, and the trilogy was popping up, and I was like, good. It
should. Yeah,
but
it should.
I just feel bad for those people because I was ahead of them in it a little bit, but I was just like, oh man, people are going to be really disappointed that the only connective tissue with this is like a name on a wall or a mural somewhere, or just kind of like a clip show reminder of bad things happen in Shadyside.
Shadyside, yeah.
But nothing else is there. It's like a whole separate thing, which again, I could see a different world where I go, good. Like, a standalone would sound fun, but it just doesn't execute.
It doesn't execute.
And you brought up Chris Klein, but fuck Chris Klein, like, what's her face from Fantastic Beasts? Watterson. Catherine Watterson. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Like, I wanted to reach through the screen and go, what are you doing? She looked like she never held a knife before. Like, she was like a video game character where she's just holding it in the air and didn't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my arms. You know,
she's like at the top of the stairs and she's already down. She like randomly like holds up her arm as she's running the stairs. I'm going, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, it's that. But then there was that scene where they have, you know, sorry for spoiling or whatever, but like, you know, somebody's pinned down. She's over and she's just like touching her leg. Like, okay, what are we doing? And then like goes through a whole soliloquy of like why somebody should die, and then passes it off like, whatever. I didn't want to kill her anyway.
Yeah,
it's like stupid.
Oh, it's so bad. That whole third act just was fucking terrible.
So again, for everybody, I'm with you guys, my friends of Letterboxd and general speaking. Like, for anyone who's like, I gave this shit a fucking 1.5. Fuck this movie. That if you're going that ended so badly, I can't give it a proper grade for all the good that it did beforehand. Fine, I've been there. Totally get it. But trying to be objective, it's a 2.5 because there are a lot of good performances that aren't those shitty ones at the end. The soundtrack's banging. The kills have a lot of good to them because the one thing that Fear Street does, no matter what decade they're trying to put this story in, they're gory. They don't give a shit. Yep. So I enjoy that. So I don't know. I just thought maybe they needed a better blueprint because the one, you know, the previous Fear Street movies all had Scream on its spine, even no matter what decade they were in and how good they were at like, say, you know, the 70s one. It's like clearly it's like Baghead Jason and it's Sleepaway Camp and it's all these kind of summer camp movies that we all enjoy. Cool, I get it. But ultimately the framework is very Screamish no matter what, because that is a lot of modern horror. Yep. So this one could have used, I don't know, just better writing. Just a better framework.
That's it. And then nailed it.
and recast one particular part at least. So.
Yes.
And then the Lily Taylor thing went nowhere. There's a lot of stuff that just go. They're all just red herrings everywhere.
I thought her son was going to play a bigger part. He never did. I thought there's going to be some. Yeah. They just.
But I thought it was quite obvious where it was going pretty early.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Especially once that they reveal that it's. I don't know. I'm not going to go into
it.
We've already done enough to these poor people if they haven't watched it, but watch it if you're hearing this and you still want to watch it. I guess it's watchable.
It's watchable.
But God, don't expect the original trilogy stuff. If you have a Friday night and you're bored, go for it. All right, Shane. That was a solid episode. I hate to be like downing, but at least like it's weird that the mid stage of you talking about Josh Hartnett doing Bullet Train in the Sky is like the most you were kind of maybe geared up in this episode. That is amazing.
You just never know, man.
I know. Yeah. Especially because I didn't even love Bullet Train. So it's like I'm taking the diet bullet training. What am I doing? So I'm interested. I will put that on the list. I will try to catch that when it gets digital, which I assume is probably this week.
Yep.
It has to be, right? Which is sad. But that's the world we live in with that. Like I said, next week, bunch of cool movies out. We'll do a nice potpourri episode and a catch up with The Last of Us, which I got a lot of thoughts, people.
You're going to hear them.
Yep. I'm turning into the Costanza Festivus dinner. So buckle up for that one when you come back next week. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend, do all the things, and join back for all the cool discussions we got coming up next week on Recent Activity.